2, 1, go!
Hello Nidorinas and Nidorinos, it is KingNido here, and today the Heart Home Haunts have a huge opportunity because they could move themselves up into first place on the leaderboard, but the Humilau Cascade are here to try and stop them, and they're going to be starting with Blastoise and Wailord, whereas it is Dragapult and Dhelmise starting out for the Heart Home Haunts, starting big with the Pseudo Legendary, who immediately goes for the Amnesia, is going to give itself a special defense boost here. It is more of an offensive Pokemon, but the Boom Burst from Blastoise won't affect either Ghost-type Pokemon, instead doing damage to its own teammate Wailord, as a Guillotine won't affect Dragapult from Wailord, but Dhelmise with the extra sensory is a really good hit there on the massive water Pokemon, and Dragapult with the Crab Hammer will finish Wailord off. Even though it's not very effective, it does get the critical hit. Wailord taking damage from everyone on the field, taking it out of this matchup. The overheat there, Dhelmise is able to avoid it, which is fantastic, and responds with the pound. The Heart Home Haunts off to exactly the start they want, but the Clawitzer now coming onto the field for the Cascade, and Dragapult immediately springs up into the sky, setting up for a bounce, which allows it to avoid the Sparkling Aria from Blastoise, which will hit the remaining two Pokemon on the field. Both Dhelmise and Clawitzer taking damage there, although it's not very effective on either of them. The Draco Meteor though, Dragapult will avoid that, and Dhelmise going for the recover instantly gets itself back to full strength. Great try there by Clawitzer going for a super effective move. Unfortunately, Dragapult was up in the sky, but now it is coming down to finish off that bounce, connecting on Blastoise and leaving it with that paralysis condition, so it will slow it down. The Horn attack will not affect Dhelmise being a Ghost-type Pokemon, but Dhelmise with the Dynamic Punch on the Clawitzer. Great hit there on the Water-type Pokemon, and will leave Clawitzer confused. Those status conditions afflicting the Water types, but a Gear Grinder now from Blastoise onto Dhelmise. Multi-hit move, it's got the first two, see how many it can get here. It only gets two, sadly. Really good hits though, as a Poison Powder is avoided by Clawitzer from Dragapult. Clawitzer needs to shake off this confusion, and it is unable to, doing damage to itself there. And an Endeavor will fail from Dhelmise, but Blastoise with the Hone Claws boosting its attack, boosting its accuracy. It will want to capitalize on that boosted attack surely. Stun Spore now failing, as Blastoise is already paralyzed. Dragapult missing out there, but Clawitzer again does damage to itself in its confusion. Dhelmise could finish it off here and goes for the Brutal Swing. This will hit everyone. It's actually super effective on its own teammate, doing massive damage to Dragapult, but it does eliminate Clawitzer from the field, and Blastoise with the Slack Off is going to restore its health here. And that is a fantastic play, because this is not the start that the Cascade need, and they really want to build some momentum as Inteleon comes onto the field, who's been going really great these last few matchups. Dragapult with the Reflect type, copying the type of Inteleon, but regardless, it would have become a Water type based on the two Pokemon on the field. And a Mud Shot from Inteleon on Dragapult will lower its speed, and it is the quickest Pokemon in the PokéType League, but an Expanding Force from Dhelmise onto Inteleon. Really good hit there, and Blastoise unable to move due to its paralysis, but Inteleon is now faster than Dragapult. That is fantastic, as a Jaw Lock from Inteleon almost eliminates Dhelmise with that super effective move, and Dragapult with the Yawn onto Inteleon. Inteleon has that 120 base speed, so it's still very quick. Dhelmise now with the multi-hit move Rock Blast onto Blastoise. It's got two, it's got three, it's got four. Can it get the fifth one? No, it's only going to hit four times, and Blastoise again unable to move due to the paralysis. But Inteleon with the Spark onto Dragapult, it has taken down the Pseudo Legendary, capitalizing on that Reflect type earlier. Super effective move. Fantastic there by Inteleon, continuing its impressive eliminations of late, as a workup from Dhelmise boosts its attack and special attack, but Blastoise will go for the Fell Stinger, and this will finish off the huge play, taking out two Pokemon in one turn. So the Humilau Cascade have instantly put themselves back in this matchup, as Blastoise gives a massive boost there to its attack stat. It attacks that, and Inteleon finally falls asleep, as both Poltergeist and Dusknoir are coming out onto the field, and Dusknoir with that Frisk. I find that name so difficult to say. Inteleon's still fast asleep though, unable to follow up its impressive elimination of Dragapult. Poltergeist with the Spatial Rend here onto Blastoise, and almost gets the elimination, but Blastoise holds on. However, Dusknoir with the U-turn will finish the job. Blastoise is eliminated. Dusknoir is going to go back to the bench. We will have a Pokemon come out in its place, that being Decidueye, who has that grass typing. And it is Vaporeon coming out for the Humilau Cascade. That was a really good play there by Dusknoir. bringing out the grass type, who goes for the power split. It will share its power with Vaporeon, and Poltergeist with the tail whip. Now it is going to lower the defenses of the water type Pokemon. Let's see if Decidueye, can capitalize on its grass typing and go for some attacks, but a Rock Tomb from Vaporeon onto Poltergeist gets a critical hit, and it is a really good hit there. It's also going to lower the ghost type Pokemon's speed, as Inteleon is still asleep on this field. It desperately needs to wake up, but before that, Decidueye with the Confuse Ray is going to confuse Inteleon, who doesn't even know because it is still asleep on this field, as Vaporeon with the Shadow Sneak, fantastic, going for the super effective move there onto the Alolan starter Pokemon. Decidueye actually tanked that hit quite well, as a light screen is performed by Poltergeist. It will make its side stronger against special moves, but Inteleon finally wakes up. It does need to shake off this confusion though, and it is able to. Goes for the Home Claws. We saw this earlier by Blastoise, boosting the attack, boosting the accuracy. Decidueye though going for the Magic Powder. This will add the Psychic type into the evolution. How often do you see a Psychic type evolution, eh? And Vaporeon responds with the String Shot. This will drastically lower the speed of the two Ghost types on the field, who could capitalize on their Ghost typing advantage over the Psychic type Pokemon, but Poltergeist instead going for the Roost, going to give itself a huge health restoration here, which is fantastic for the Ghost type Pokemon, getting itself actually back to full strength. And Inteleon snaps out of its confusion and goes with the Hydro Cannon onto Poltergeist, which surely would have eliminated it if it had have not gone for that Roost. Vaporeon though with the Mystical Fire onto Decidueye, its second super effective hit there on that Pokemon. Decidueye does have its special attack stat lowered as well, but responds with the Play Rough onto the evolution, which is a great hit. And Poltergeist follows it up with a Heavy Slam, but Poltergeist, you are not very heavy, although you actually still got in a pretty decent hit on Inteleon, even though it wasn't very effective. It did get the critical hit, Inteleon having to recharge after that Hydro Cannon, but the smackdown is laid on Poltergeist by Vaporeon. However, that Cursed Body will disable Vaporeon's moves, and that Last Resort fails from Decidueye, as Poltergeist tries again for the Heavy Slam onto Vaporeon there. Brick Break won't affect the Ghost types, and Vaporeon, having no moves left, will struggle, connects with Decidueye on that, and is able to hold on, but it will only be able to last one more struggle. But Decidueye won't wait for that, goes for the Stone Edge, and takes out the Psychic type evolution. Remember, it did change its typing. Inteleon there avoiding the Rock Blast from Poltergeist, and it's Wishy-Washy in its schooling form. It does so go into its schooling form after coming onto the field. You do not want to see it in its solo form. It is now the most powerful Pokemon in the PokéType League based on its stats. And Wishy-Washy immediately with the Flame Charge eliminates Poltergeist. This is what the Humilar Cascade needed to do. They are still in this matchup, but Poltergeist Cursed Body is activated again, and Wishy-Washy is left with the disable. Decidueye going for the Infestation onto Inteleon does a little bit of damage, but it's the Infestation that will continue to afflict Inteleon, that will chip away at the Water-type Pokemon. Dusknoir coming back onto the field, and again that Frisk will set up it's finding those Leopard Berries, which we already know about, but Inteleon with the Rock Tomb onto the Ghost type, a good hit there. It is also going to lower the speed of Dusknoir, as Wishy-Washy with no moves left is going to struggle. This does eliminate Decidueye, but this is terrible for the Cascade. Their strongest Pokemon is doing damage to itself. Dusknoir though, with the Psychic Fangs, goes for Inteleon and eliminates the Galarian starter Pokemon. There is only one Pokemon remaining for the Cascade, and it's doing damage to itself as Chandelure comes out and immediately goes for the Sacred Fire there onto Wishy-Washy. It's not very effective due to that fire typing, but Wishy-Washy continues to struggle, this time going for Chandelure and continuing to do damage to itself. The Heart-Home Haunts have a massive advantage here, as Dusknoir with the Mud Shot onto Wishy-Washy is going to end its schooling form. It will lower its speed stat as well, but it is now the weakest Pokemon in the PokéType League, and it has two very impressive Pokemon to contend with. Wishy-Washy is such an easy target, as an Autotomize from Chandelure is going to boost its speed here. And Wishy-Washy though, with no moves left still, does go for the struggle, connects with Dusknoir, but eliminates itself, giving the easy victory to the Heart-Home Haunts. That was really sad to see Wishy-Washy there by itself. Very, very sad, but the Humala Cascade next round will be facing the Balan the Angels, who are only 2 positions above them both those sides, trying to get into the Master Day. But the Heart Home Haunts have moved themselves up into first place on the leaderboard. This is fantastic for the Ghost types, who next round will be facing the bottom place Santaloon Swarm, who are actually in our very next matchup. The Swarm have been known to take down top tier teams though, whereas the Cinnabar Flare facing the Santaloon Swarm will practically be a matchup for the Twisted Spoon. Whoever loses will be on the bottom of the leaderboard. But until then, Nidorinos, thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comments below who you thought was the best on field, and if you enjoyed what you saw here today, please leave a like, share, subscribe, but more importantly, always remember, you are awesome, and I'll see you when you see me.